I think where curious youngsters get caught is audacity. You know, there's that level of entitlement, and it's not a Gen Z thing. I hate when everyone's like Gen Z. I saw this in fucking Generation X when I was 22. Like people are entitled consistently, you know? And so, you know, as long as you're empathetic that Vayner would like to give you that at bat in project management, but it's not ready just yet. And whether that's Vayner or you decide to go somewhere else, for all of you, as long as you're empathetic to the organization, if they're really trying, well then, and you're willing to be patient, then you're in a good spot. I will say that where younger generations got caught is the world's faster now because of technology. And so patience is definitely something people struggle with, you know, and because of the way the world is, insecurity has always been poison, but now people literally are living their lives so publicly that if they're insecure and they want success so that they can flex, it eliminates patience. I mean, you'd be stunned if you saw some of the emails I get from employees who left here for a $5,000 raise when we weren't willing to do it because they just wanted to buy some dumb shit. And now we're like, what the fuck did I do? You know? And so you guys and gals are so young. It's about being thoughtful, but do not downplay. You're not chaotic. You're not too, crazy about that. That's good. You're trying to figure out your shit. I think it's a strength, but you just have to be, unless you're an entrepreneur and you control your way, you have to know that there's, we're the most pro-employee org on earth. And even for us, it's hard for you to be like, hey, I want to be PCS because that spot might not exist at this exact second.
What is the best mindset and the learning path that I can take to become the future of this company? And I'm not saying become where you are. I'm just saying like to grow in this company and to be a big part of it.
It's a great question. I think a couple things. One is self-awareness. Let me give you an example of what I mean by that. There are plenty of times, and I'm as happy as it gets professionally, and there are still plenty of times that I say, I wonder how cool it would have been to have the DNA that would have made me like, I'm envious of a lot of my senior employees. I'm like, like yesterday, like being sick, it was not only bad to have 103 fever, it was even worse knowing that I was missing things that were really important. And like, I can't like rely on anybody else to do that role. So I think first of all, self-awareness. When you have ambition, even you asking that question, my fear is that you push yourself into places on an ideology versus the reality of who you actually are. So I think the best way people can be the future of this company is, one, they have a good sense of themselves. Two, they have a good sense of what they want in life, financially, creatively, work-life balance. Three, this is a big one. I want everybody to pay attention to this one. Three, that they have the capacity to change their mind 5 years from now. So some of you right now might be like, I actually do want Gary's job. I want to be the global CEO of VaynerX in 20 years. And I think that's fucking rad. On the flip side, you may fall deeply, deeply in love in 7 years and then start a family and be like, fuck that. I want to be like my mom or dad, or I want to be the reverse of my mom and dad. And I want to be at every recital and every ball game. And that's not going to let you be the global CEO of VaynerX. That's just real talk. So I think that if you have a good sense of who you are, if you're comfortable in who you are, and if you're willing to change your mind of what you want, that's a huge starting point. The next things are, one, let there be no confusion. Unless you are a very nice person and nice to others, you can only grow so much here. There's nobody that gets to the upper levels. So if you're in a place where you're still insecure, like if you have big ambitions here and you're testy because you yourself are slightly unhappy, I started thinking about things like meditation. I started thinking about things like therapy, because there's been so many people that had the talents to get to the highest levels here, but lost along the way because they didn't have the human capacity to be the person I need them to be with each other. They're political. They worry about their money. They try to tear down other people who they think are trying to take their spot. So all that stuff. And then finally, and I'm going to pound the living shit out of this, without the S in SOC, you can only get so far. Strategic organic content, and something you'll be hearing a lot about soon called PAC, Platforms and Culture. The future of communication over the next 10 years, which is going to impact all of you, is whoever is the most significantly talented in understanding how the platforms work and understand the cultural nuances of hundreds of different consumer segmentations. Not culture as in the cool slang term for urban hip hop culture. I mean, do you know what 40 to 47-year-old middle America hunter and fisherman type dudes care about and how to get them to buy chocolate milk? Right? So it's all cultures, it's all ages, genders, races, interests, financial levels. And one thing I worry about in this company, I talked to the team, as most of you saw the video with Brittany King, and we just have a very strong passion around DE&I and different things of that nature. One of the things I see from so many of my well-intended senior executives is they think the strategists and creatives that will be best for the consumer cohorts are the people that look like the consumer cohorts, and that's not true. Right? Like, I don't think a 40-year-old woman is the only person that knows how to sell 40-year-old women stuff. I don't think you have to be Hispanic to understand how to sell stuff to Hispanics. And so I see a lot of well-intended subconscious thinking that I'm excited to change over time, because I fit only one demo, with my age and gender, but my whole career is built on my empathy and compassion and intuition around all people. And so it's also why I think a lot of you are probably aware that in your circles of friends, family, acquaintances, my brand hits for a lot of people, all that looks super different. And it's because, the messaging is contextual, even though it's still grounded in the same truth of love over hate.
Anything kind of last parting shot for people that are trying to get into a happier place or trying to accomplish more?
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't even connect it to any of this stuff on Pepsi or anything like that. What I would say is kind of more what we were talking about earlier, is that it's kind of, life is what you make of it, which I know is the most cliche kind of thing out there, but it's this idea. I tell everybody at Pepsi, I mentor a lot of younger folks and people who are just coming in, and a lot of people see the world as it's presented to them, not as it is. Right? So they'll get a job and say, well, my job description says whatever. And I'm like, every job I've been in at Pepsi, I've kind of not rewritten completely, but you make it your own. What is your take on it? What are you going to bring to this? Then what are you passionate about? As you connect the dots, don't always ask and just say, here's the things that you need to do here, boom, 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 boom. Like, what can you do to kind of make your job your own?
It's kind of like brand marketing, right? Every big brand's, sentence or mission statement is so vague that how you interpret going for it or doing it for one time or the life beyond the life or whatever it might be.
Totally.
That's complete interpretation.
Well, and case in point, when I came into the water business, right, it was like, hey, we sell Aquafina, we got our play, we got the segmentation done by whatever. And I was looking at it and I'm like, it feels like, but I'm looking outside, I'm seeing an explosion of premium water. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Like, maybe we should take a step back and rethink it. And so, kind of saying, like, if I'm leading water, so let's turn it on its head. Let's come up with a new thing. Let's come up with some new brand. And so it's like, don't be afraid to push or question the norms just because they're presented to you. Like, see the world as it is, not how it's presented to you.
And deal with the ramifications. And with that, right? Which is like, and if you sucked and you innovated crappy water and you got fired, what? You can always go do something. Like, honestly, like at some level, like one of the biggest ways I think that I've been able to help my friends and then employees like do things is just push them very heavily on what will happen. You'll get fired? Okay. Well, that sucks and that's bad. Do you have any savings? And sometimes the person's like, yes. I'm like, you know, and I'll really go into it. They're like, I'm like, wait, you have 3 years worth of savings.
Totally.
And you're not trying to push the envelope. You can get fired and chill for a year and still be okay. Other people are in debt and they can't. Maybe you can't push as hard, but while you've decided to push in your organization, you're interviewing outwardly just in case you do get fired. Like, what?
Right. What's this idea? And it almost goes back to, you know, when I was playing tennis growing up, I was a competitive tennis player. My dad used to always say, because I would be a head case sometimes, play to win, don't play not to lose. And I would get into this defensive mode where
that's what tennis is.
I would
defensive
literally be
tennis.
the classic. I'm up 5-1 and I would lose 7-5. Because
Really?
I would be like, I wouldn't be thinking, I'd be having fun, I'd be kicking egg.
Big shout out to Nate Schroeder on my team who's led me 5-2 3 times and has lost 7-5 all 3 times.
But that's the deal. It's kind of like right when you start realizing like, shit, I'm killing this guy right now. I'm going, I got this, and then I get in my head and I'm like, don't mess it up, and then I change my strategy. I start laughing.
The whole team's
like,
pushing me. We got to run, but I got to tell you, no, you don't be sorry.
But that's totally the deal.
They need to be sorry because I got to say this. There's something crazy about tennis. Out of all the places on earth that I've navigated my life, it's the only place where I can get defensive. There's something crazy about being up 5-1 and losing that second game, starting to like visualize the comeback.
Totally.
Then 5-3 comes. Now you're serving up 5-3. You should cruise into this.
Totally.
God forbid you lose that game. It's 5-4. It's definitely now 5-5.
The second it gets to 5-4, you've
You
lost.
understand this?
It's totally.
Like you react like you.
That's the deal.
There's something about
it's so real.
not even ping pong, not even other places. Something about that
It's the mental
love
flip,
it.
and so play to win, not to lose.